Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Hoping you had a lovely couple of days. Haven't been on here since Monday and um just kind of been enjoying this last little bit of Black History Month. And I've learned a few things, like a lot of the stations have had on some really good I would say reaccounts of what took place in Black history. So it's been extremely interesting. In fact, I've taken a few notes here and there on wherever I was when I was watching something. But, today I decided that I wanted to look at, you know, the for today is stan, STAN. Sounds too simple, doesn't it? Well, stan is a new word that was added to Merriam-Webster's dictionary that talks about just, people who, have an idol. They have somebody that they really believe in. They're a fan. They're excited for whatever goes on to in a person's life that they see, and they love to see them up close. But of course, they will look at them any way that they possibly can, through media, through books, certainly through concerts, all that kind of stuff. So, um, I was thinking about one that I always admired. Obviously, she was, acting and living her life long before I was ever born, and died, shortly after I was born. So, and her name is Hattie McDaniel. And Hattie McDaniel, of course, if you've ever seen Gone with the Wind, it was an iconic movie that really portrayed, the Civil War South and what went on, and and depicted in such a way that it was pretty realistic about how enslavement was carried out, and who was affected by it, be it that they were white or black, but they played it to the way it was written. It was written um, in such a way that said that this story will go on forever as history. And so Hattie McDaniel made history in this movie, in that she was the one of several blacks who were casted, but in her instance, she won an Academy Award for her performance. And Hattie McDaniel was born June 10th of 1893 and died October 26th of 1952. Was an American actress, singer, songwriter, she and a comedian. So she had a lot behind her. It says for her role as Mammy, she won the Gone with the Wind, of course, Academy Award as Best Supporting Actress in 1939. And she was and will always have been the first African American ever to win an Oscar, and um, Sidney Poitier was the second. He was the African American male. But I found that on Wikipedia, but it just talks a little bit about her that was just interesting to me. It says that she lived in Woodland Hills. That's where she actually passed away, and it was considered to be like very upscale area of place that she lived in. And she had an interesting life. She always wanted love and wanted children. Never had the children, um, but had four husbands. Howard Hickman, and that was 1911 to 1915. So it wasn't a long marriage. And it looks like I believe he passed away um, from, I think, an illness. George Langford died, and I believe his was at the hands of a gun. Somebody shot him. And then she was married to a James Crawford, and she divorced him. And then and that was 1941. So I mean, she was out there trying to do her thing. And then the last one she divorced in 1950, and that was due to him trying to exploit her, trying to take over her money. and act like he was going to be her manager and all those kind of things. But she realized it wasn't love. It was really that he thought she was going to be, basically someone that she took care of. And she said that wasn't going to be the way it was. He wanted to go. The story I was reading earlier this morning said that he wanted to go to Europe. And she says, Europe, what you mean, Europe, Pennsylvania? So she said, no, that means divorce. You will be divorced from me because you're requesting and requiring me to pay for you to be my husband, and that's not the way it's going to be. So she was just always someone that I was really interested in, just because she happened to have been the first. And at one time, as a young girl, I thought I was going to be in acting and singing and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't come to pass. I mean, a little bit, but never to the level of which, Hattie McDaniels became known. She will always be known as the first actress to receive an Oscar. That's a high standing because it's voted on by your peers. And so someone, regardless of the fact that she was, portraying this character that was considered to be a negative character because it was of servitude, that she still played it so well that they had to acknowledge her importance in that role. And so that's certainly wonderful. So today we're talking about the word stan, and stan is an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. Now, I can tell you that I've never had that kind of obsession. I just always liked hers. I liked, Hattie McDaniel because I knew that she had been through something and she made a name for herself in spite of, her impoverished background, in spite of all the things that had happened with her family long before she made it big. But she and her sister were doing things like putting on their own little productions when they were young. And so they were always intentional. They always played in the area that they wanted to get in and stay in. And Hattie made it. So a stan is a groupie, it could be a super fan. It could be a mega fan. It could be a fanboy, a fangirl. It could be an addict, a junkie, a fiend, a freak, or a lover. Like you could say, I just love, like right now they have a lot of love for Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Those are the two that you can hear their names all the time. In the religious area, it might be Joel Osteen or T.D. Jakes. They're out there. On television, it may be Robin Roberts. It may be, whomever. So a stan is a person that just strongly believes and has great, affection, care, concern for people that are in, I would say, celebrity kind of status. That's where they are. They're up there. So we break the word down this morning, and it's such a small word. And as I said, it is a new word to the to Merriam-Webster's dictionary. It's a new word. It wasn't there prior to, I think, 2023. So they're looking at it. And if it was, I couldn't find it. I found it, as being a new word in 23. But it certainly is a word that's being utilized now more so, or understood now, even like I did, to have Riz, which I did a couple of weeks ago. That's talking about charisma, but they, younger people have a tendency to break down the word and make it where it almost becomes their local colloquium, to how they want to look at the word. So they said, yeah, she has Riz, instead of saying charisma, she has Riz. So stan, and it doesn't say the origin of the other portion of it, but I imagine it would be the standard that's been set. I don't know. I'm just making that up. Don't say Webster said it. But anyway, so being the fact that the stan is this groupie. At one time you were an addict or a groupie, and now you just a stan. So it just shows you that you can move around. Words give us the possibility to fit in other spaces and still have the same meaning. So when you break the word down, I start with super fan. Okay. A stan is a super fan. It says it's a person who has an extreme or sometimes even obsessive admiration for a particular person or thing. I remember at one time I was so excited to meet Maya Angelou, and I didn't get to meet her. And I was at the American Counseling Association, and we were so stoked that we were going to be able to meet her in a it was supposed to be a limited and specialized. Good morning, sweet pea. How are you doing, Deb? Good to see you in the space. What's the word today? It's Stan, Stan, Stan. And Stan means obsessive fan or of a particular celebrity. And anyway, I was in the middle of telling my story about wanting to meet and so excited to meet Maya Angelou. And I didn't get to meet her because she decided that she was not going to meet with all of the presidents of the various counselors that represented all the groups all over the country. I mean, we were from all over the world. There were probably, I don't know, 35,000 people that come to this conference from all over the world. And of course, I was president of the military branch counseling unit. And I was just so excited. I'm going to meet. And no, she said, no, I don't do that. I don't sign autographs and I do not meet with anyone. So she chose not to meet with us. And I was upset with her because I had a different sway after that. I said, wow, I really thought I was going to, and people had books. We had our books to be signed, but none of that happened. And sometimes that's how it is when you see people doing big things and you love what they're doing. You want to give them their props, and you do, but it doesn't always work. That it's an easy thing for them to reach back out towards you. But straighten up, straight up. That's good. So anyway, I said my first word was superfan, which is a person who has this extreme obsession or admiration for a particular person or thing. It says they may be their ally, the defender, the follower, the patron, the supporter, the brace, the sustainer, and the upholder. Debbie, do you have a favorite person that if you ever got a chance to meet, that you would love to meet them? You have somebody out there for that? I don't know. I know for myself, I'm okay now, after I realized that, they're just people. It had to get it in my head. They're just people. It's like I'm a person. Maybe somebody would be excited to meet me, but I'm just saying. Johnny Depp. Okay. I think Johnny Depp is cool. I think he's handsome. I think he plays really good roles. So yes, I like Johnny Depp. True fan, that's a word. True fan is how they took the person, the TRUEFAN, and they combined it together, dropped the E. And so true fan is a word. So for my T of Stan, STAN, is true fan. And it meaning that they're just pluralizing the true plus the fan, someone who is very active and devoted to. It says they could be in science, they could be phantoms, they could be, basically a fandom of whatever it is that they love. And science fiction is really big on that. Like any of the people who are trekkers, who believe in all of the outer space stuff and all of the futuristic things, they would be true fan. So that, to me, I always get excited when I see people so involved in science and interested in the outer space. In fact, the other day they had a young lady on, I think she was on Jennifer Hudson's show, and she was only, I think 15 at the time, but at 11, she had already entered college. So, and she was on with Bill Nye, and they were talking about the future of this whole concept of just being beyond where we are now in terms of understanding science. I was never a science person. As they said, I struggled through, but I made it. But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing. So a true fan is somebody that is a stan, which is what we're talking about, a mega fan, an uber fan, a ranter, and once again, groupie. So groupie came in on the end, and trance. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's right. They are in a trance, because sometimes people are so excited about others that they're in a trance for them. They just love what they're doing. They're very, very active. And you can find that, I think earlier when, before you even came on, I was talking about people loving, like they might be a religious stand where they love TD Jakes' word, they love Joel Osteen, or, they love all of these people that are in that realm that speak to that area. And it's the same thing with music. You can't probably get anybody that's not going to say that they don't love what they're seeing with Taylor Swift or certainly Beyonce. They're not going to tell you that they don't love it. If they love it, they love it. They are in it every single minute. They love it that much. So the stand being that person that is considered that groupie, that person that's so caught up, you understand that's their, for some of them, that's their life. They form fan clubs or they join fan clubs, and they're all about what's next. What's the latest music, what's the latest word, what's the style that they're bringing, what's the hairdo they're wearing. Everything is all about that person. They are a stand. They're just in love with the whole concept of who that individual is. Or it might be, though, that area, it might be other people that are in the same area. Now, my A in this instance for Stan is aficionado. Sometimes you can talk with people and they've become an aficionado on certain things or certain people. They would be a Stan because it talks about a person who likes, knows about, and appreciates a usually fervently pursued interest or activity. They are in it, period. You can't say much about it and they can't speak on it. They can speak on it. And they said that those aficionados are the addicts, the bugs, the devotees. It says they're the heads. I always call myself a jazz head because I love jazz, period. I love it, love it, love it. And so I listen to jazz. That's the only thing that plays in my car. Occasionally on Sundays, I will play, Christian music. I will play gospel, but for the most part, I'm a jazz head. And so twice a year, I leave, I leave my house to either go downtown to hear the live jazz, or I go out of town to hear live jazz that I've been doing for years and years and years. So that's my thing, but I would call myself a jazz head in that instance. So that's my aficionado stuff. You can talk about all the different, musicians that I love, including our local musicians who are on the national scene. You know, um, Antoine Knight and Chris Snowden and Gino Rosaria, the pianist. I mean, these are all local people that are actually, they've left here or they leave here. This might be their home base and they go and they play and they come back. But I'm proud of them because they're doing what, if I'd ever been given the opportunity to sing with a big band and stuff, I would have done it. But I look to the younger people, so I live vicariously through them, watching them be so involved in those things. Absorb is a good word. Yeah. So the aficionado is the person that may be the addict, maybe the bug. They're just bugged with it, and maybe it says they may be the head, the junkie, the lover. They may be the fool and the fan. Let's think about it. If you've ever probably loved a certain music type, maybe it's country western, maybe it's rock and roll, maybe it's old rock and roll, maybe it's fused music, or quiet music, whatever genre it is. That's your thing. That's your thing. Attachment, yes, that's an absorbed attachment, and absorbed, those are all great words. When we think about, when you think about your own thing that you like what you like. You like what you like, so you get used to certain movie types, or certain, maybe it's sci-fi, maybe it's drama, maybe it's comedy. Those things, like I love comedy. You can make me laugh. I love to laugh, and so for me, it's comedy. And I certainly enjoy Dave Chappelle. I just enjoy so many people. And I love late night with Jimmy Kimmel. I will stay up sometimes, be sleepy as I can possibly be, but I will stay up to watch Jimmy Kimmel because I think he's funny too, and Fallon is fun. So I love it. I love a good laugh. It is what it is. It is what it is. Classic rock and roll. I like some of that too, Debbie. I got to be honest. I like everything because growing up in New York, at home, I was able to hear jazz and blues, but out on the regular mainstream, the that we were listening to on the radio, it was mostly rock and roll, and it was maybe show tunes and that kind of thing, but very seldom were you ever able to hear, my jazz and that kind of stuff. We didn't hear it. Those were mostly just picked up through records. Love blues and jazz as well. I didn't know that, Debbie. Well. Oh, oh, oh. I love it. I love it. Now the last thing is really I thought I'd go silly on the last letter of the word, which is stan. The word is stan. The last letter is an N. What would you write for your N, Debbie? Because I know you could come up with. I bet you came up with the same word because you're funny like that. I bet you did. Let's see. I'm gonna hold 1 second because I just know you. I know you have the same little sense of humor and wit as myself. So I believe you probably came up with it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But anyway, I came up with, oh boy, it says I'm still thinking. Well, think on. And you're probably going to be able to say, yeah, I have nut, N-U-T. Sometimes we become nuts over certain people, certain music, certain, dress. Now, I got to tell you something. I have probably, I don't know, maybe 50,000 pairs of sunglasses. I'm nutty for sunglasses. But then I'm also nutty for every time someone comes out with the music that I love, I'm nutty for it, and I'm nutty for them. I love Brian Culberson, and he hadn't been coming to the Seabreeze Jazz Festival since COVID, so the pandemic. But he is coming back this year, so I am over the moon with. Yes, I'm excited because he can lay down some keys. I mean, and then play them backwards and do all that kind of stuff. And I've actually met him. I actually did meet him, and loved him. So I know I'm a jazz head, so I'm a nut over that. And says a nut is somebody that is a foolish or could be eccentric. It's like numb. Oh, numb is good. A nutcase. So there it is. You came up with the same thing. Wow. Ha ha. That did come across my mind. Okay, so you came after. Yeah, nut, but you got nutcase, so there it is. That's still good. It says they're a foolish and eccentric person. They're an enthusiast, an ardent person, a lover of, and one who is consumed. And at times, I got to tell you, when it's jazz, that's the only time that you're not going to see me online. So I'm going to take off probably that Friday and the Monday following, which is in April. So we still have some time. But I announce it ahead of time because I know how much I love it. I love to listen, just sit out, listen. And that's my chill time. A lot of times I'll take paper, pen, and I'll write while I'm just listening to live music, and there's people milling around, and there's chairs, and that one probably has between 12 and 15,000 people that come to that one. So it's quite a large amount of people, and after a while you get to see the same people because some of them sit in the same areas every year, and they say, hey, you. And so they do remember. Yeah, it says that's because your eyes are closed and you're swaying back and forth listening to that awesome jazz. Well, you know what? I don't necessarily close my eyes, but I can write. I find it to be inspirational to write. So I can sometimes just sit and listen and, pull out and I might even prepare several lessons while I'm there. So when I come back, I know I'm running, so I won't have to worry about doing all of that to as they say, to the crazy tune of what you're behind. No, I try to get ahead of time and be spontaneous with it. But that's our word. I just really want it. I know it's a short word, but it's a good word because it really talks about how, Merriam-Webster and all the other dictionaries are updating their words with updating their dictionary of words to include what I would call avant-garde or new words from young people that have just taken words to be a different level or a different way of looking at the same meaning, but dealing with it differently by cutting down the number of words that are there. Good morning, sweet bee. Yeah, I'm almost done, but I go over this. Our word today was stand. And because of Black History Month, I use stand means that you're an oversized or obsessive fan. And even though I wasn't oversized or overzealous with Hattie McDaniel, I used her as my Black History Month person of the hour or the half hour in this instance. But I just love that. So I'm so you so what? Yeah, that's too funny. You're okay. You're okay. You can come back. You can go back and listen to it. But I thought it was just an opportunity to talk about somebody that I know to be on point, even regardless of her circumstances. She just chose to still do what she wanted to do and became someone that people could idolize later, even posthumously, because obviously she's been gone for years and years. She died in 1952. But I am truly a person that I would say I'm a stan at times. Other times I am not. But the stan is this person that just has a particular feeling, affection, care for someone who might be a celebrity. I'm not over the top. So, no, I'm not going to run them down, run to their house, do anything like that, stand outside their house. No, no, not going to write them. I'm not doing any of that. It's just that my level of being a stan is probably what would be called a reasonable approach, not an out of sorts approach towards certainly stalking and that kind of thing. But stans do exist. They are just individuals who love whatever they love about somebody. But listen, you guys have a wonderful couple of days. I'll be back on Friday with another word. I don't know if it'll be the word like this because I've been looking for some new words that had been added to Merriam-Webster's dictionary. But let's face it, the dictionary is huge. There are a lot of words in there that are so huge that I'll come back with them and we'll work around them and find out how you feel about them. But listen, if you don't have anything else to do, think of somebody that you have a celebrity attention thing for, and give them that attention for a few minutes today. Just a minute, maybe read up something, read something about them, or certainly maybe listen to some music, or maybe something that they've done. Go to YouTube. But have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Look at life as just being good. Even when bad things come, you still have life. So that's what I look at for myself. And if you don't do anything else, hit that button forward and just let it go to share. Share with somebody. You don't have to pay me anything, but just share what it is that I'm doing, and I'd appreciate that. I love you guys. Appreciate you, Cheryl and Debbie and whoever else is there. I know there's been some other people, but I cannot tell them to click all the way in. But I love it, the fact that they do hear what I'm saying and they are around. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and be safe out there, okay? Thank you. I love you. Thanks. Bye-bye.